Okay, it's 9 o'clock. We can start, please.
Okay, good.
Deborah, roll call, please.
Absolutely. Ring.
Here.
Star.
Here.
Castile.
Here.
Hines.
Here.
Jennings.
Here.
Singh.
Yeah.
And Byron.
Here. Okay, approval of the minutes from the February 24th, 2026 meeting. Anyone have any additions or changes?
No.
Seeing none, they are approved. Announcements. I have one quick announcement that we can talk about later if we want to. Pardon? Oh, member forum, sorry. Anyone from member forum?
No.
Thank you. That's why I skipped over it. I was doing my comments.
He was
Yeah.
assuming.
I was at the RWC meeting last month, and as they were being, I'm gonna use this word, probably attacked about the library, right after all that happened in member forum, I had to get up and say that the finance committee recommended that we fund this study. I think we need to consider changing our wording and our motions, something to the effect that we have, that funds are currently available in the amount of X. It doesn't say whether we're supporting the proposal or not, but just say that should kind of be the wording of our proposal. If everyone's okay with that? Okay, we'll move on. Todd.
Yes, good morning. First thing I'm going to talk about is a little bit we've talked about as we move into quarters, doing a little deeper dive on the quarterly variances. And so as I was putting the financials together this month, for February, I just kind of wanted to bring that to the table again, So we kind of going in a little more detail in terms of any potential variances and kind of talking about them more. And we've discussed that in past meetings, and I just kind of want to bring that back up as an agenda item, even though it's still under the financial review, but doing a little bit of a deeper dive on variances every quarter. This month also does not have a lot of significant variances, which is good. But I was thinking we kind of get in that cadence we talked about every quarter doing a little bit of deeper dive. So I just wanted to throw that to the committee for consideration for next month and kind of change what we're doing. I know we've talked about it, so
that would be a lighter review and then
deeper review.
I know, but in between the quarter.
We'd still do it, but I think just getting more discussion on the variances. We've talked about just doing a little bit of a deeper dive at the quarters.
At each quarter.
At each
So
quarter.
instead of doing anything on a monthly basis, you're doing it on a quarterly basis.
So we wouldn't look at the financials at all monthly?
No, we do the same thing we're
I just
doing.
wanted
I was
to
just
make
saying we do a little
Yeah, we
deeper
still
dive.
can.
on the quarter.
Deeper dive on the quarter, but
Yeah.
normal dive
Same.
on the month.
Especially because when we complete June, right, that's gonna be getting close. We're gonna start working on budgets, right? And so I think just having a little deeper dive as a group on quarterly results makes a lot of sense to me. It's what I've always done historically in other roles. So just wanted to bring that to consideration. Okay. Start real quick with the capital fund. Obviously, you can see we're still continuing now to produce all three sets of financial statements plus a consolidated one. The consolidated one obviously will play into the audit for 2025. As McCare and her group are actively working on it, we'll have those results, on time this year for April. On the RWC side, that we are going to be looking at those consolidated statements more because they actually tracked exactly how the auditors look at them. But as a standalone separate on the trust, right, we just kind of I would say a normal month, right? So on a consolidated year to date, net income of a little bit of a loss of 22,000, interest income of 40,000, and then interest expense of 53. So nothing to really raise our eyes out on the capital fund. So obviously, the maintenance expense, we moved over there this year. So as we move through the year, we actually start seeing some of those expenses. That's going to be something new for us to keep our eyes on and look at as we go through those maintenance expenses that we've moved over now into the trust. There was a little work done here in January and February. So once again, a little deeper dive maybe on February and for Q1 about how that looks. And then the other report, what I want to do in the quarters is We also have written a new report that I'm gonna add to the packet next month for the quarter. Is we have written a report that shows not just budget to actual for the period, but budgets actuals in comparison to the remaining budget for the year. Right, so we can look at how much we've spent to what is remaining in the budget. Right, so that'll be very helpful, especially when we look at the trust and the maintenance expense in there. So that'll be a new report that you'll see next month for the quarter review.
Todd, what's the accounts receivable in the capital fund? It's 2.1 million.
Where are you looking?
Balance sheet,
Oh,
No.
next page, I had a couple questions on that too.
okay, so on the capital count, basically the accounts receivable, $1 million of that is funds that were moved temporarily over to the RWC to cover insurance timing payments. So that created a receivable of $1 million, which will go right back here this one.
And the other million?
Close.
You want to get back to us, Todd?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I can, it hasn't logged in yet. Once I'm logged in, it'll be quick.
Because I have the same question about the next line, the other current assets of almost 4 million.
Right, what are those?
What are those? So
I can
maybe,
answer both of those in just 10 seconds.
right, right.
No pressure.
Um,
The interest should show up on
Think of
the
that.
income
Which one?
statement. So here's the interest.
The long-term interest, I mean,
No, it's on-
Oh, you mean
Right there.
that?
the ones that go against the loans and so on.
All right, this is,
Yes, it
I
goes
got the
on.
debts.
no, he's got the monthly, here's the monthly interest expense, but you're
Okay,
asking.
so on the monthly, you have $55.69 in an open monthly assessment.
Yes.
You have $119,000 in membership transfer fee that's still coming in. You have a $560,000 in long-term membership transfer fees that are still being booked and coming in as a receivable. Those are ones that are coming in as a loan. You have $979 in recreation AR that is coming in. I would assume that is part of the rental. I'll have to look at that one, it's not much money. And then we have some other intercompanies coming over $456,000 for a total of 2,138.
So that's where the capital fund has lent money other places. Is that right? So part of that was to pay insurance.
Or it's, yeah, the $1 million was those are not normal. That's a one-off to cover timing issues on
Right.
receiving cash from the mutuals and make, because you know, one of the things is this committee that I know Amanda and I are gonna be working on is to better kind of show you guys how the cash flows out, because every month, you know, we have payroll, we have everything else, right? So the intercompanies create some, you know, peak gain, you know, peaks and
Sure,
valleys,
it's cash
depending
flow.
on the
Yeah.
cash flow side, right? So,
And maintaining that $1 million though is the $500,000 is the MTF fees that have been,
Mhm.
that are on a loan.
That are being booked, yeah.
Yeah, so they're just being.
So they're
paid
just,
over the-
they're paid into our account, they haven't been moved over at the end of the month, depending on when they are, so. There's, there's MTF money that comes in, and then it's, pushed over to the account, so depending on when those funds were collected, it's a receivable to the trust. Right, but they might still be sitting in the operating account for.
But what I'm after is that when you move in, you can choose to pay the MTF fee in installments.
Yes, or you could choose to do a 7-year, 5% note.
Right.
And one of the things
Is
we're,
that part of
Part of
that shows up?
that's also part of the interest income. And one of the things we're solutioning right now is is within NetSuite that we haven't solutioned yet is the ability to manage those loans within NetSuite. Doesn't come standard with the ability to manage those MTF loans. So that is a solution we're pretty close to finalizing within the next probably 60 days, and all that will then be, you can see all those notes within NetSuite versus a separate outside tool.
And the next line, the other current assets of almost 4 million.
Yeah.
So you're looking at other current assets, so we have investments of 3,765 in money market account.
There you go, there's,
Well, I would,
that's it.
that's the bulk of it.
We have 15 million, or sorry, 15,000 in prepaids. And I'm happy to, I try to keep this
Yeah, maybe,
concise, but
Maybe a little
on the
more
trust side,
detail would
I
be
can
helpful.
augment this and send you guys the
yeah,
expanded.
a little more detail on all of
Yeah,
them.
on all of this would
All of
be
them, there's
helpful.
always some big numbers that just need some detail. Okay, great.
We can do that, we can do that across.
Is there any reports that show us, on this money market accounts, how much interest income we're bringing for each major one?
We can start including some of this, we can include the statements, obviously, we can show that. I mean, it's within the interest income, so if we expand the interest income, I think we can probably get you something that would show you
Yeah, because I'm more interested in like the monthly and quarterly, these are all the interest incomes we're getting. Then here's our 3 big loans, and that's our interest expense on those 3.
Yeah.
Just to see
Yeah, I
how
always
much,
expanded the loans, the long-term debt, but I would just expand the, if you.
I'm just looking about the ins and outs of those 2 major things. That'd be good.
Yeah, happy to do that for the group.
Cash
And the other
flow.
thing we're gonna do is we are rapidly developing, like we talked about, like that top sheet. Jason's working really hard on automating the variance analysis, which we're gonna showcase next month, which is we get into the budget actual.
Mhm.
But to actually create more of a top sheet summary for everyone that then we could obviously then have the expanded detail in the back without getting lost into since spend all your time you want in the detail, but then we're gonna create a top sheet like we're gonna do for the mutuals on the treasurer's report.
Okay, that's your cash flow. Any questions on the capital fund?
Let's go over to, let's do RPM first. It's all right. Net income, $45,000 loss. Obviously, as everyone knows in this room, we budget to be break even. The real changes here, so when we look at the mutual side, let's look at the couple of variances on top. And there's really not a lot of significant variances that are through February. If you look at the billable revenue, right, which are the 2 that we talked about, like if you look at document fees, resale fees, a lot of those are tied to obviously the sales, right? So as sales fluctuate and we get into the MT and we look at the MTF report this month, you'll see as sales are down, obviously some of that revenue tracks with it, right? So we're up in sales, you're gonna see those fees going up. The billable services operating and reserve revenue, you'll see that's like $100,000 off. Those are the 2 real big variances on revenue this month. We are trying to get more sophisticated, and we took a lot of time this year on the mutual budgets to seasonalize the rehabs on the reserve side. Mutuals have a choice of whether or not they use our internal services and go to a third-party vendor, right? They're not locked into just using us. So for example, First Mutual doesn't use our services at all. It's all third-party vendor, right? So this is a revenue stream that I would say probably has the biggest risk and also the hardest to, effectively budget. So even though we did a lot of time trying to seasonalize the mutual expense side, we have not had a chance to really even try to match that to the revenue side on RPM in terms of necessary timing. So the seasonality on this is still flatline timing because we just haven't had the chance or the bandwidth to take that next level of sophistication. Obviously, January and February, not a big 2 months of revenue. So even though we're show down, that's really a seasonality issue on those two because we haven't really pushed those into the right months. And like I said, there is some inherent risk there just because if they decide not to use it, and then it's also, then once they do use it, we have to make sure we have the labor and the contractors and to be able to do it. So this is something we can continue to talk about as the year progresses. But those are the real, if we look at the revenue being off 168,000, 110 of that is within those two buckets and then also the lower resales. Right? Other than that, John has bought some landscape stuff. Our professional services are down a little bit right now. Some of that is timing on invoicing. Because we haven't got invoices yet, so no real red flags there. Salary and wages, obviously, right there. We keep an eye on that. We have open positions. We're still trying to fill some things, so no real red flags here for RPM. So I guess I have any questions on that.
I noticed that employment taxes are actually over budget, even though salaries are under. Do you read that?
I would have to really dig into it's not a
Is
big
that
number.
because of the seasonality though? I mean, don't a lot
Well,
of
we
those?
pay a lot into,
Yeah.
social security and stuff up
Till they
front.
meet-
Yeah,
It's
stuff
higher
goes in up
Until they meet the limit.
Yeah.
to meet the limit, so that's a little higher in the beginning. We all saw in the year, the paychecks are a little bit higher. But Adrian, we can look at some of that timing issues, I think. Yeah. And obviously, like we've done in the past, we also break out the, last month, and we didn't really have this because it's just the budget to actual, but we're gonna obviously give you the monthly details every month, in an income statement as well, which we did all last year. So you can see where those changes and variables are.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Now,
Go ahead, Adrian.
on the cash flow.
Let's just follow down.
About balance sheet first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I have a question. What's the $6.2 million other current liability?
That's gonna be. Once again, I'll go ahead and make sure that we expand this detail for you guys next month.
That's
Sorry,
Yeah.
Jeff, I'm sorry, I skipped you. Sorry.
Do you have anything?
He was relieved.
We'll go back after time.
Okay, okay.
Sorry. I'm so excited Todd was here. If you just expand it next month, Todd, that'd be
I
great.
will expand it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
Mm.
Let's move on. Just expand it next month, please.
Okay, and then obviously on the. I just, I think, obviously this is, we're starting to get used to looking at cash flow. I think this is just a very, as we, Dan and Adrian and I have much was talking, I think it just shows that we are catching everything, the cash matches, the balance sheet matches, it is a closed circuit and having the cash flow. We can also present the cash flow too, as we start adding more months on. We can actually, unlike a balance sheet, which is an end of period, we can actually show the income statement, the cash flow every month. So I can run this so you can see the monthly ebbs and flows. And if we did that for the other two, I think there's a lot of intercompany noise, but I think it could help provide a little bit of insight just in terms of how the cash flow, changes and depending on the month end. And so we can start doing that if that's valuable to the group.
But in this particular case, though, I see we're down $1 million. Actually, $1.4 million. And it seems to be mostly because accounts receivable went up. What is that all about?
On the AR side, Adrian, it's most likely gonna be payroll timing, but in intercompanies, but.
Well, and that's where having some history
Yeah,
would be
helps.
helpful. Right, exactly.
I mean, my salary is $600,000. So I can see where there's not a salary payment, and that's not even half of it. They are. Which seems like an awful lot of money. Well, money, but
So obviously that's the change to AR. So if you go back up and look at our actual AR.
Yeah.
And that's what you said where it helps out the monthly, the 5.3 million is in AR. There's 130,000 monthly assessments, 42 in resident billing, 206 another AR, intercompany receivables of 4.8 million. Intercompany, so that's the majority of it, sitting in intercompanies. There's just, I think, and this might be a good exercise for Amanda, the sheer magnitude of intercompanies that we have on this, in this entity, it's a lot, right? So we're looking at February, we're still looking at all the insurance flowing through. We're looking at RPM collecting all the receivables from any remaining cash on the insurance, which is why that's high, right? So the intercompanies have some pretty big swings to them. And that's something that, we can maybe spend a little more time on as a group to understand some of that inflows, but obviously as we finish collecting insurance and paying insurance in February, right, there's still some AR, a lot of AR that's out there to the mutuals. So.
Maybe on the balance sheet, Todd, would it help if we broke out intercompanies from AR? If it's the.
Oh, I can do that, sure. It's
Is that
really
possible?
difficult to break them out by every company.
I don't, no, just one line.
That would be good.
So we can track just the
Yeah.
I mean, is it a business problem or is it just,
Right. Yeah, if you could just break that would be.
Right, so, on
On all the balance sheets, if you would break out intercompany from AR. And AP, if it's an AP.
Try and plug in one more time.
yeah, because I see accounts payable, if we do have it.
Right.
2018, which is intercompany payable.
Oh, okay.
the.
So you're putting up some more of the details up there?
I was just gonna show you, we can certainly every month, all of this is collapsible, right? So
Yeah.
you're looking at our AR for RPM, we can certainly just, every month, I can expand this. It just gets into much more pages, but we can certainly easily it's all just collapsible, right? So, so we can start with.
I think it probably doesn't make it doesn't matter for cash to expand it, but if we could get,
But we can certainly go through the rest of these and give you guys like.
Putting them out on 2 pages would be quicker and more efficient than the time we're spending asking questions if we can see it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I think if you can break out, I agree with Kim, I don't care about cash, but the other stuff probably makes sense to break it out.
And what does this group feel about in terms of this group reviewing the detail of what we show at the board meeting on Thursday? Because it's, it's a lot of pages and weeds to go through.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, something like what we're doing right now. It's just,
Yeah.
Here we look at the detail, and if we find a red flag, then that should show up in the work.
Okay.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll make that change.
RWC then.
RWC. Okay, so on RWC, we are slightly under in revenue. None of these really hit a large variance threshold. We did, I guess you'd say the revenue did. Which also includes some of the changes we made with the, we mentioned last month, the RV rental that came in October. But we can, similar conversation, we can expand that because that other revenue includes the facility usage fee rental, right? So if we want to look at how that's being booked, and there's been a lot of conversations on that. It also brings in personal training, vehicle income from vehicle maintenance, golf, RFID tag revenue, which we've talked about, and RV space rental and handyman income. So we can certainly break up that detail as well in the revenue.
Excuse me, you said handyman revenue?
Handyman revenue.
Isn't that part of our plan?
No, that's in RWC.
Yeah, so we can certainly, the next level down from all of this, obviously probably, serves this group better than, like trying to show too much detail. in the board
Just
meeting.
on certain key accounts, we don't want to know every
Yeah,
line.
we don't.
That would be too much.
That would take a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. So revenue, really no red flags for me on this as well. If you look at some of the, on the expense side, insurance obviously is gonna be, when we actually booked, we'll see the same thing, what we budgeted is what we're booking. And this will be a little bit of a change because as we get the new insurance and, normally historically you have one amortized, right, budget. However, then the expense usually comes in the same way. This year we will have a change to the expense because the next 12-month period will have a different amount and it'll have some of the ARC stuff, the risk, managed risk layer in there too. So it'll be a little bit different this year because it won't be just flatlined. Right? The total will be the same, but we're going to see some differences between the first 5 months in terms of that amortization in the last 7 months.
So Dan, I thought at some point before, we had a discussion about what detail we want for what level. So one issue is the size of the budget and the other issue is the variance in the budget.
Yeah,
50,000, the variance is great, equal to 50,000 and 10%.
We did 10% and 100.
100, I thought it was 50.
We did 100, but I think we need to bring that down.
Let's do 50 and 10. I thought we did 50.
Yeah, so some kind of benchmark would be good for
Yeah.
details.
Mhm.
So if something's changed by 100%, but it's $40,
Yeah,
don't care.
doesn't matter, yeah.
If it's changed by 50,000 and it's $20 million, we probably don't care. So it's gotta be more than 50,000 and 10% of the dollars.
That sounds good.
Okay. Okay,
So what that means is we would be looking at a $5,000 variance potentially. If it's
No.
50,000.
the variance has to be greater than $50,000.
Yeah, so we're not looking at the small.
The variance has to be greater than
More than
50,000 in the budget, and it has to be, and the total amount has to be more, and that 50,000, the variance has to be more than 10%.
Yeah, I think 50 is probably the right number.
I agree. I thought it was, so if it wasn't. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so once again, no real red flags at all. I mean, we're 2 months in, which is also why I think that quarterly deeper review is important. Because we'll have more timing issues that have come into play by then. So no real red flags on budget to actual, once again, income statement by month. You'll see that's where we had, like on the golf revenue, you'll see the, sorry. You'll see here that golf revenue, where that big spike of 581, that was the prepaid golf, which we talked about last month a little bit, where the budget was off, and we adjusted that. So that prepaid golf of 581, you know, obviously, that's why the monthly detail is so helpful, because it can kind of show you, gives you more feel for some of the timing issues. Scrolling down onto the balance sheet.
And see here, you broke out AP, which was great.
That was probably, I think I normally try to do it, it's probably just,
And the other current liability, we break that out too.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Yeah,
happy to do that. And then also we can obviously have the cash flow as well. And I think the cash flow, you know, if we were to look at that from, we were just talking about,
I'm sorry, what are we looking at?
I just want to show you something real quick.
So while Todd's looking at that, if I can give a quick insurance update. We did have an insurance task force meeting last week and had a presentation from Gallagher and Ken Johnson. The placement for the extension came in really positive in terms of the rates, which is not typical of just a straight extension. But we're also looking at, as they're starting to build for the 6/1 renewal, rates continuing to soften in the market. which is a very good thing. At our next task force meeting, we'll be talking about the alternative risk layer. We have one more year in that. Currently, we have about a $10 million reserve in the lost fund earning interest for us. So we will need to work with the task force and board on options for use of those funds towards future coverage. We'll be getting quotes for increasing that initial layer to 10 million, just so we have a variety of things to evaluate in terms of coverage and how that impacts our overall tower. So a lot of good things happening. We're still, not in any kind of position where we'll achieve full replacement value coverage to ease the market on the mortgages. But there is some movement from FHFA in terms of requirements related to multifamily or HOAs. So we're not there yet, but there's some signs of some movement in their regulations. So maybe we'll see some positive movement over the next couple of years. But anyway, good placement. We're seeing some good trends in terms of 6/1 renewal, lot rental coming.
Yeah, so just next month, you guys can see it. Oh, this is the cash flow, for example. And we'll just go ahead and start doing just like we're doing the income statement, so you can see each month and how cash is, positive month versus negative months. Gives you guys a little more visibility into nature of the cash flow, depending on timing and when things go out, so.
Okay. Anything else? Do we want to go through consolidated, or do we need to go through consolidated statements?
I mean, we can, I don't know if we
I don't know.
need
Anyone
to.
want to
We
go?
went through.
Yeah, okay. I think we're okay.
I think that, like I said, I think the consolidateds are gonna be very important once we start looking at the audit.
And I know you're going to start doing depreciation so that we more closely
Yes,
tie into the audit.
yes. So we're going to,
Appreciation on what?
The
Depreciation expense, they don't record any depreciation expense. The audit report shows several $1 million of depreciation expense. If I read that correctly. It's a pretty big number.
so it'll be caught up here for 25, and then we're gonna try to do it.
We'll just take 1/12 of, what 25 was, and when we get 25, and go from there. They can probably give you an estimate of what 26 would be. The auditors probably could.
Probably Amanda can too, probably
Yeah,
just.
yeah.
Just make it.
All right, any questions for Todd under the regular
It's
system?
important when you bring up about depreciation, because there's this sort of view, we forget that our assets here are depreciating. We've got $50 million or something of assets, and they are losing value, and if we don't replace them, we don't put stuff up, invest, like we do for capital. Down, and so it's just sort of a general understanding of how it work.
Jeff, did you have other comments, or was that it?
No, I was just gonna
Okay.
do the insurances.
Great, thanks. Sorry for skipping you. And Director of the Trust Facility.
Right. Todd, do you? Oh, you did. Thank you.
Mhm.
Right, wow. Okay, so we'll just talk about the projects that there's been movement on. We're actually spending money. So the building finishings, we completed that actually a couple of months ago. Earlier this year, and that's the Creekside flooring, which was, through the entire clubhouse. It was continuation of what the restaurant flooring is. For pickleball, everything is going really well. We've had numerous rain delays, but we're on track. And if you were to take a look at the site, it's kind of fun when you can actually see the work happening. You can see the visible stuff happening versus a lot of the underground stuff. But a considerable amount of, the base for the foundations are all going in. And so probably over the next month, there's gonna be several concrete pours. And for that, we've given the ability and worked with the city for the work to start a bit earlier, so there'll be a little bit more disruption, probably starting from 6. They'll kind of mobilize, get everything squared away, but they'll probably start firing up things at 7 versus 8. And they will be actually on site this Saturday, no truck movement, but there's a lot of rebar work to be done, so they want to get ahead of that so they can.
And Ann,
Be efficient with your board.
exciting news, the 18th hole will be open today also.
Yeah,
Okay.
the fence is where it
Fences.
should be through the remainder of the project.
I would advise them when I'm on the course, them to wear hard hats, but besides that.
They're aware and concerned. Yeah, it'll be kind of funny. For food and beverage, so we're doing well with the budget that we have for both the restaurant operator and RWC to get the site prepped and open. I think we're still waiting on some refrigeration equipment, then we need to schedule health and get our revised ABC permit. So hopefully we'll be doing some soft openings within 2 to 3 weeks. That's optimistic. And if you saw in the newspaper last week, I think it was, for the soft opening, we're doing scheduled seatings. And based on the response, I still have room for more. So basically what we're asking people is to respond to bigbite@rossmore.com. And it's you and 3, it's whoever sends the email, you can have 3 guests. We're kind of doing it in groups of 4. And I do need to have the name of the resident and their address. So this is for residents only.
Okay.
So you can't bring out of towners. Not just yet anyway. But we're excited that that'll kick off. And the reason why we're asking for this is to make sure that we can be very responsive, so there's no delay. But we've got a bunch of names and we're just starting to batch them into seatings. What else we got going down the list here?
And on
Yes.
the soft open, are they asking for feedback from the guests after?
I'm not really sure the mechanics of it, but knowing Rodney, yeah. A lot of what they do with the soft opening, a lot of it is to train their staff with the service level they provide, and to train their cooking staff with the consistency of preparation. So it's mostly feedback around. But I know that Rodney's already taken into consideration feedback he's getting from residents that go to his other locations, just in adjusting some of the things. All right, RWC admin relocation. There's really, we can pass on that one. And then for the NetSuite implementation, so there are 3 departments, well, more than that really. If you look at community services, communications, and finance, we have different projects going, which are all funded through this. With communications, I believe we have some dates in April and May for the new website launch and then the new portal. And then with community services, which includes all of the departments like fitness, aquatics, recreation, those programs should be online, and golf. Towards the end of the year. For the golf bridge replacement, we'll be talking about that later in the meeting. So that's all I really have to report on for movement. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions for Ann? Okay, if not, the next item is the MTF activity.
So sales continue to lag a bit. This last month we had 34 sales, 25 fees. So for the year, 59 sales, 45 fees, compared to last year, which was also kind of a downward trend. We had 72 and 54. The interest rates are at a 3-month high, a lot of uncertainty in the global markets and so forth. So I would anticipate that this trend may continue for a while. If you look at the bottom, it has a breakdown of the exemptions that we received. Mostly the exemptions are related to a current member purchasing a different unit or a current member moving their unit into a trust. If there is any questions or comments,
when's the significant increase in fees, that April 1st?
April 1st, it goes from 14 to 18.
So one of the things that I always wonder when I look at this is how many units are on the market in any of these time periods? And I know that's maybe kind of hard, but is there some way to get some information? I mean, if we only had, 50 units on the market versus 120, I know that does not necessarily turn into sales, but it gives you an idea of just kind of what's going on and maybe what to expect in the next few months. I don't know.
I've heard some of that anecdotally, that it's more the lack of inventory compared to the demand for the housing. But we'll try and see if we can generate a report to add this related to.
And Todd, we're still working on the sales by location or by mutual.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's.
I think that would be important to know
The other thing would
too.
be to look at inventory too. We could actually,
So those are,
I think that data is all pretty readily available, just need the time to put it together.
I get a lot of mail where they say, here's the things
Yeah.
that happen, and they give you which mutual and what happens from the real estate.
From the real estate
So they
people.
have all the statistics. If you just say, give me your statistics.
I think it would give insight to some of how it actually translates to actual sales. Certainly, we should have an understanding if there's 20 units of mutual one available and none sold
none
for
are sold
3
yet.
months.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Versus one of the other ones and there's
Yep.
2 and they've sold 2.
Yeah, I think that may go back to the loan issue and things like that, so.
So we can control it and give us more understanding.
Here's a question for Adrian. So in terms of long-term fluctuation of this MTF, if there's a prolonged kind of recession, there are two factors at play, right? The incomes will go down and the mortgage rates will go down too. And they kind of offset each other. So historically, what has happened to MTF fee when there is a major recession?
We don't have data that goes back. The last major recession was 2008. And, data prior to that, 2010 was kind of noisy. And Waterford came online. And so it didn't match what we're doing today, what we're seeing today. So we don't really have a recession.
You ask that question in 5 years. There you go, then we'll have it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Things are getting scary now, yeah.
Yeah. So we may get that data.
Yeah. We want that data, right?
Okay, I'm assuming we have no FSM update and no update from the planning committee. No unfinished old business, so how about new business? Ann, I guess that's you again?
Yes.
So with the golf course bridges, so for the last year or so, we've been working on doing a lot of the civil work, some of the preliminary, not preliminary, we've done geotech, soil analysis, preliminary bridge designs with a structural engineer. And we're now at the phase where we need to go into the next phase of the project, which is developing construction documents and moving towards the construction process, the bidding, the permitting and whatnot for the bridges. And so this item is simply asking for a request to proceed with the second phase of this project.
So the second phase was not approved initially, it was just the first phase?
Yeah, when we brought it to, I don't know if it was the committee or the board that asked to break it into the 2 phases, so. But it's a continuity of work, I mean, you can't bid it out, it has to be the same professionals carrying their work forward.
Yeah. And these are 6 and 7 on Creekside, I believe, on the 9-hole course. Yeah. And then,
And they did look at what happens when all the rains overflow it in prior years. I mean, even if you build a bridge, the water's still gonna flow over it, right? They're not gonna try to widen it. so that-
Everything's engineered, so
Yeah.
you had hydro engineers, right now you have these kind of culverts, that goes away, it's a pass-through, so this is only part of the project, there's also an environmental element.
Right.
But that's all been considered in the project.
So does that mean that the water won't be getting as high as it used to?
That is the plan, yes.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Because there are certain things which are obstructing flow of water, which will be
Yeah.
corrected.
They were
Yes.
limited.
We get to see what's going on, because our house looks right down on that bridge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See it? Oh,
I see
wow.
it every time it
It's a
goes.
beach.
Pretty dramatic.
Any further discussion? If not, anyone want to make a motion? Okay,
Let's see here. I move that the committee advises the board that funds are currently available in the amount not to exceed 122, 132. Oh, sorry.
132.
132, all right. In the RWC capital budget to enter into the professional, or to amend the professional services agreement with BKF Civil Engineers
for phase two.
for phase 2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, can we have a roll call vote?
Certainly, Ring,
Yes.
Star,
Yes.
Castillo,
Yes.
Hines,
Yes.
Jennings,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
and Byram.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Okay, Ann, you're up again.
Yes, and so so this project has been on the capital project list for a little while. It's taken a while to get it to where we are today. So just as a reminder, for the roof replacement, the skylights at the fitness center, they're part of the original gymnasium structure, the Delay structure. So when everything was renovated, they kept that element as is. And the useful life of that is 20 years, it's well beyond that. And so it was noted that kind of the seals, they're kind of like separating, they're spalling a bit, they're failing. And so we prioritized it because we wanted to make sure we could repair it before it became something that was like imminent, creating leaks and potential water damage. So last year, what we were trying to do, so what happened was when we first had this project, we went out, we thought we were gonna do like for like. Doing that type of a greenhouse, like little greenhouse skylight, is rather cost prohibitive for a variety of structural reasons. The type of glass you need is considerably heavier, and there'd be this whole new structural issue. Then there are different environmental considerations when you're using glass in any area. So we took last year to kind of regroup and to figure out what's a better approach that would be more cost friendly. And so what we also wanted to do is try to find an architect familiar with the building that had some knowledge of the last design process so that we could design something that was fitting with the structure. So we've done that, and there's a person at Flynn that had worked on the project at Tice. And so we'd like to work with them to develop the schematic design, construction documents, so we can then bid the project. And this proposal would also include them staying on for some of the construction administration that architects. Any questions on that one?
Any questions? And what's the total amount again?
20,360.
Anyone want to make a motion?
Okay, I move that the committee advises the board that funds are currently available in the amount of $28,360 to enter into a professional service agreement with Flynn Architecture for the Tice Fitness Center Skylight project.
Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? If not, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Ring,
Yes.
Star,
Yes.
Castillo,
Yes.
Hines,
Yes.
Jennings,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
and Byram.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Anything further? If not, our next meeting is April 28th. Right here, same time, same place.
You got it.
Thank you. Good time.